Hello, everyone, and welcome to the reading workshop lesson for December 4th, 2020. The materials that you will need for today's lesson are your pencil, your reading journal, and your My Book. If you don't have these supplies, go ahead and pause the lesson to collect them, then come back to press play. Okay, I hope you have all your materials that you need. Let's go ahead and get started. Our objectives for this lesson are: I will review literary elements. We will recognize literary elements within a story, their importance, and how to relate to one another. You will analyze literary elements within a story to find deeper understanding. Literary elements are parts of a story such as plot, characters, and setting. By looking at one element of a story, readers can better understand its theme. The story's plot is what happens or the sequence of events. As these events unfold, a conflict is presented that is eventually resolved. Readers, yesterday we used our knowledge of literary elements to gain a deeper understanding of The Good Garden. Today we are going to revisit the story, The Good Garden, and dig deeper into the setting and why it's so important to the story. I want you to think about the setting of the story. Is it just background? Or is the setting playing an important role in the story? Go ahead and take some time to copy down these questions into your reading journal so that you can think about them while you follow along. Now that you're back, let's go ahead and reread paragraph 1 on page 342 of your My Book. Maria Luz Duarte lives with her parents and her baby brother, Pepito, in the hills of Honduras. They grow their own food on a small plot of land, but drought and insects are ruining the crops in their community. They might have to eat the seeds they should save for planting next spring. Then they would have to borrow the seeds from the grain buyer, also known as the coyote. The coyote makes money from poor farmers by forcing them to pay back 3 times the amount of seeds they borrow. Some people lose their farms to the coyote. To avoid this, Maria's father has gone away in search of work. He has left Maria in an important responsibility, taking care of the family's crops while he is gone. Sometimes authors think about the setting of the story almost as a character. By that, I mean that the setting has significance and plays an important role in the story. The setting may affect the characters, or it may be symbolic in some way. Look at this anchor chart here. Setting. How important is it really? You always have to consider the time, the place, the weather, and the culture of a story when considering the setting. When we read The Good Garden, we must consider the setting. How important is it? What was the time, place, weather, and culture of the story? Okay. Where does this story take place? Well, if you look, it takes place in the hills of Honduras. When does the story take place? Well, if you notice from the story, we read that they might have to eat the seeds they should be saving for planting next spring. We also know that Maria Luz is in school right now. So it could be the fall, or the fall turning to winter, but it does say that it's a dry season right now. Also, why is the setting so important to the story? Well, the setting is important to a story because it contributes to the plot and conflicts or troubles that the character faces. The setting is very important to the aspects of the story, to the characters of the story, and it keeps the story moving along. Why did the author choose this particular setting? Well, the author probably chose this particular setting because without this setting, would the problem Maria Luce faced be the same? Think about that for a minute. Would there even be a story without this setting? The setting and characters have carried the whole story. Also, ask yourself this: if the setting changed, how would the plot change? Or would the plot change? Well, of course the plot would change. If Maria Luce lived in a lush, fertile land that did not have trouble growing crops, they wouldn't face the hardships that they face, and her father would not have to be away in order to help the family survive. So the plot would change significantly. I want you to think again about the questions I asked you earlier and the ones you jotted down. Think about the setting of the story. Is it just background? Or does the setting play an important role in the story? I want you to pause the video now and write your thoughts down in your reading journal. Okay, now that you're back and you've answered those questions, it's now time that I hand the torch off to you. You will take a picture of your notes and your answers from this lesson. Then you will complete the Literary Elements Google slide. You will turn in both of these documents to your teacher. You will turn in the picture as well as the Literary Elements Google slide. Remember your literary elements and how important they are to your plot and to your story. Sometimes authors write the setting as if it is a character of its own. It contributes to the plot. Think about that whenever you're reading anything, including The Good Garden.